Welcome to everyone who's joined with us, and particularly a warm welcome to Tom and Adam, who are going to be speaking to us this morning. The work that LEEA does with military and veterans is a global effort. When you bring together our wonderful, disparate, dynamic, and disagreeable industry, one of the only things that you can get all LEEA members to agree on is the urgency and problems that we face in terms of the next generation of recruitment. Where are our next engineers going to be coming from? Where is innovation going to be coming from? And it would be possible, if we were a different trade association representing a different industry, to sit back and moan about it, but do little to come up with a solution. But as engineers, that's not what we do. And so one of the ways that we're looking at bringing in fresh blood and bringing in new expertise is to make sure that we have strong and viable relationships with partners and stakeholders in the military community. And that's clearly going to be of value to both sides of that agreement, because we know for a fact that the services have high caliber, high quality people with general and important employability skills, but also they have the technical expertise that are required in our industry. Where there may be a challenge is transfer of those skills into industry recognized qualifications, and that seems to be the bridge that we should be looking at as LEEA. But likewise, we as an industry hope to offer people who are at that place in their life where they're looking at the next step. Sometimes they're scratching their head looking at the next step and potentially wondering what the last 10, 15, 20, 25 years have done for them in terms of their career. And what we at LEEA are trying to do is make the point that please bring your expertise and your skills to the civilian workforce. Please don't retrain to be something else. Please don't turn your back on the experiences that you have, but come and look at the LEEA offer. And we'll learn more about the LEEA offer later, so I won't try and over-egg that particular pudding at the moment. But the purpose of today really is to illustrate to LEEA members, but also to some individuals that we've got joining us who are either leaving or looking to leave the services, that there is a pathway here, that this is a real solution. This is not just a talking shop, but there is a real pathway to come and work for LEEA members who, as the Chief Executive of the Association, I can say unreservedly represent the best employers in the industry. And why can I say that seriously as well as semi-jokingly? Because our members are our LEEA members because they have a commitment to global best practice. They have a commitment to ongoing CPD, to develop their people, to make sure that they are at the start of, rather at the front of the queue when it comes to being excellent. So LEEA members, we know, are looking to recruit. People who are looking to leave the services, we know have skills that are of value to us. What we're trying to do is close that gap, that information gap, really, to ensure that employers and potential employees can be linked together and we believe can form a mutually beneficial partnership moving forward. So without further ado, we'll turn to our first speaker. I won't interrupt. We'll just go through our speakers and I hope that there's a value. I expect that there will be. Haven't seen the presentations. As LEEA suggested, if there are questions, if I can invite attendees to put them in the chat function, and then at the end of the presentations, we'll reconvene in a plenary and we'll take questions at the end of all the presentations. Okay, I'll mute and we'll go into first presentation.
Ross, thank you very much indeed. You've stolen our thunder completely. I'm just going to share my screen with you. Okay, hopefully everybody can see that. If I can just have a nod, that would be great. Thank you. A warm welcome, everybody. Good morning. My name is Adam Marchant-Wincott. I'm the Director of Employment at the White Ensign Association. I'm going to start with a quick plug to the White Ensign Association as one of the longer established service charities, but then I'm going to talk more contextually, more holistically about armed forces engagement before handing over to Tom, the Raja, who, contrary to popular belief, is not an Indian monarch. He is in fact the REME Association Job Agency Warrant Officer. So just to start with, the White Ensign Association as a service charity has been around since 1958. It was initiated by Lord Mountbatten, and it has throughout that time provided support to naval and Royal Marine service leavers, all of whom are in the process of transitioning out of service. If you're Navy in the audience and you haven't heard of us, then I am not doing my job properly, and I will endeavour to address that. What we offer to LEEA members is really unique access to naval and Royal Marine service leavers. And we have a membership scheme which we run in order to allow that to happen. The real unique selling point from that perspective is that the White Ensign Association is based on HMS Belfast on the Thames in London, and as a member of the White Ensign Association, you will be very welcome to come and use our conference facilities on board. So it's a nice thing to be able to offer people, and it makes me smile every time I think about where my office is. So that's enough about the White Ensign. I'm just going to make sure I can now. There we go. There's HMS Belfast, for those who have not seen it. The other thing is that we're reaching out to all of those in the naval service community, and that's those that are serving, in the process of leaving, veterans, spouses, and dependents. So there's actually a much, and also reservists. So there's a much broader spectrum of people that the White Ensign can access. But I'm now going to talk more generally about the tri-service community. So why, as a LEEA member, would you want to engage with the armed forces community and have your own, potentially your own armed forces engagement program? The Ministry of Defence back in 2006 under David Cameron, when he was Prime Minister, initiated a thing called the Armed Forces Covenant. In fact, at the time it was called the Corporate Covenant, but it made more sense to call it the Armed Forces Covenant. And what it is, for those that haven't heard of it, it is a pledge by an organisation that they will give an individual, a service individual, a fair crack at the whip when it comes to employment with that organisation. They then initiated a thing called the Employer Recognition Scheme, which is administered centrally by an organisation called Defence Relationship Management, and regionally by the Reserve Forces and Cadets Association. It's a bit of a minefield, but actually there's a link there that you can follow when you get the presentation, and it's pretty self-explanatory. But I would just say something about the Armed Forces Covenant Pledge. It is essentially a document which engages with the senior leadership in an organisation and enables the organisation to engage with the armed forces community in a way that will be complementary to the organisation's overall strategy. So it's adding value right from the outset. What does it look like practically? It might look something like that. Where an organisation wants to engage with the armed forces community, it can run insight to industry days. It can run work placements for individuals or groups. It might want to get involved in Armed Forces Day, which this year is the 24th of June. But I think organisations are doing it sort of a week plus or a week minus of that day. A really impactful activity to undertake is a Remembrance Day parade of some description, and actually if you can get a service padre along as well, and you can access those through Tom and through me, we can see if we can procure one for you to do a remembrance parade. So things like that as practical activities that are part of an armed forces engagement program with an organisation are really, really effective. On a more slightly intangible level, just making sure that things like your HR policies are will support those in reserve service, that perhaps will look at the employment of spouses. And I use spouses as an example because, to use my own example, after 14 years of marriage while serving, I lived in 9 different houses with my wife. And so she was never able to hold down a job for particularly, for very long, because we were moving every 18 months or so. So when it comes to presenting a CV like that to an organization, it immediately gets dismissed because it doesn't have any coherence to it. So there's a whole range of stuff that you can do as within the Armed Forces Covenant and this employer recognition scheme, which is on 3 levels: bronze, silver, and gold. And both myself and Tom Basford at the Raja can advise you on the best way to engage with that. And certainly, if you become a White Ensign member, then it is something I will offer very diligent and sort of practical help with. So that's from an MOD perspective. From a individual perspective, when it comes to recruitment specifically, it is a unique talent pool. Ross has already said there is an extraordinary talent pool of about 200,000 service personnel across all 3 services, of which 15,000 a year are leaving the service. And the bulk of those that aren't retiring straight away, are looking for secondary employment, second careers. The characteristics, I think I'm teaching to the converted if I talk about the characteristics that an individual brings, and we talk about being punctual, being presentable, and trainability, because when the military isn't on operations, it's training for operations. So an individual's ability to assimilate training and then applied in a different environment is pretty good. And I think if you can get around that, then it does make people really, really appealing. The other thing is that, and I found it in the 10 years I've been working in this sector now, that the tangible benefits to other staff members, where you've got individuals that are coming in but perhaps need mentoring because a service individual might have joined at 16 years old, they've gone through their service life and they've left and they don't know what they don't know in the nicest possible way. To have a mentor alongside, or that is not military in any way, shape or form, or to provide some sort of level of support like that, is incredibly effective in terms of staff retention and engagement. And the other thing I would say is, where you have got a cohort of veterans within an organisation, far from it being divisive, if you can somehow meld those veterans into a network of their own, they become a retention and a recruitment tool in their own right, because they reach back into the service and they're pulling people through that are in the process of leaving, who are reaching out and asking for assistance, and they're pulling those good people through. One sort of good thing begets another. So, of course, the big problem is, as an employer, is where you've got this massive military talent pool, how do you access it? Because I think if you Google it and just say, how do I employ a soldier or a sailor or an airman, you get 1,000 different options. So I would just highlight a couple of things. There is a statutory body called the Career Transition Partnership, which is an MOD agency. It is delivered by a management consultancy company called Right Management, and every service leaver is now an opt-out process if you don't want to engage with the Career Transition Partnership. So I would recommend anybody that is looking to engage with the military or recruit from the military talent pool to sign up to the Career Transition Partnership. It has a job board, it runs employment fairs, but it is a bit shotgun, and you're not necessarily targeting an audience of people that you particularly want to do. So it can happen. It's just in the process of being relet as a contract. So it'll be interesting to see how it develops over the next 12 to 18 months. But everybody should do that. There are also lots of specialist military recruitment consultants around, but of course they are profit making, they're commercial organizations, and they, of course, most of them are sort of veteran-led and do have the best interests of the service leaver at heart, but ultimately they're a commercial organisation. There are some extraordinary networks on LinkedIn at the moment. The most popular one is the Gen DIT network. And if you're a service leaver listening to this and you're not on the Gen DIT network as a LinkedIn group, then I would advise you to join it. It's got huge traction at the moment and is very positive. But there are a huge range of groups on LinkedIn. The only thing I would say about LinkedIn from a service leaver perspective is a lot of the people I've dealt with recently haven't got necessarily a LinkedIn profile, or if they have, it's pretty sparse. And I wouldn't necessarily actively encourage people to have the most amazing LinkedIn profile, because at their level they're at, generally they're not being headhunted by anybody, and so it's not something I sell particularly, but there are some great networks out there. And then there are the service charities, and I'll talk about those separately. You can see that with the service charities, there are organisations like the White Ensign Association and the Raja, who are sort of cap badge focused, if you like. They're looking, from my perspective, I look into the Navy, into the Royal Marines, and I'm drawing people through and trying to match them, provide a matching service with the employment partners that engage with the White Ensign Association. Ditto the REME. There are industry specialist charities out there like Build Force who are recruiting into the construction industry, and they're well supported by that. And there are some sort of talent pool segment focused organisations that perhaps are just looking at spouses and dependents. Now, there's a huge range of organisations out there that are largely operating amongst on these levels. But I think from a LEEA perspective, you know, they've signed up with the White Ensign Association, which is fantastic, REME Association, which is also great, and so within those two, you get a huge proportion of the service leaving community. We're just a bit light on the RAF, but you can tap up the RAF through the CTP. Because I'm not aware, and Tom might be able to correct me, but I don't think there is an RAF equivalent to either the White Ensign Association or the REME Job Agency. So they're out there, and if anybody needs further advice on it, please do don't hesitate to ask. Very briefly, then, I'm just wrapping up now. From a White Ensign perspective, we have a job board where I can put roles, or where you can publish your own roles and opportunities, and individuals can publish their CVs for employers to see. And I work with both sides to ensure to try and bring them together. What I often get asked is, haven't these guys all got PTSD or some sort of mental health issue? No, of course they haven't. I mean, we haven't really been on any warfighting operations for quite a long time now. But also there are things out there, the level of support now that the system provides to service leavers, particularly those with mental health issues. There's an organisation called Op Courage, which is an NHS delivered service specifically for veterans. It is fantastic. So in many ways, the service leaver is far less likely to be a troublesome employee, if I want to put it that way. It's a terrible phrase for it, but if they've got issues and they need high levels of support or need, it's out there for the service community, far more so than in many other spheres of life. One of the things I also come across is, well, they don't have a degree and they don't have commercial and business experience. Quite often that is the case. They don't have a degree and they don't have any commercial or business experience. But, and this is where sort of CV selection comes into its own, because if you can get around that, you'll see that they've got all the experience of a degree student or a degree candidate, for example. And no, okay, they don't have the commercial necessarily or the business experience, but again, it's trainable. And shouldn't be a barrier to you selecting somebody, at least for interview. What organisations like I do and like Tom do is we help individuals by preparing them to make them as presentable as possible to the employment market. So we can do all of the things I've listed there, and I'm not going to read through them. But so ultimately, what you should get when you use somewhere like the White Ensign Association or the Raja is somebody who is really well prepared to engage with you as an employer. And if you are a service leaver and you're looking at this and you aren't getting that level of support from people, then please do come and ask us, and we can either help you ourselves or direct you elsewhere. Right, that's it from me. I've tried to keep it as broad brush as possible, and Tom is now going to focus on on the REME specifically. The only thing I would say is, from an engineering perspective, of course, the Navy has a huge range of engineers as well, surface and subsurface and aviation and everything in between. So please don't, you know, there's no point in me talking about it and then Tom talking about it. So at that point, I will hand over to Tom. Those are my contact details. The slideshow will come out afterwards. Thank you very much indeed for your attention. Tom, over to you.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you, Ross, for the introduction as well. To start with, I'm just going to share my screen. Right, hopefully you can all see that. So yeah, thank you for the great overall introduction, Adam, not just to the White Ensign, but the top level resettlement piece in support of our service leavers transitioning from the military. So a little bit of background, so insight into the Raja. However, yes, I'm still in the green kit myself, so I'm a serving Warrant Officer Class 1, Artificer Sergeant Major within the Corps of Royal Electrical and Mechanical Engineers. And I'm based here at the moment in my office in part of Regimental Headquarters in MOD Lynham in Wiltshire, the home of the Corps. So that's a little bit of an introduction there. So what is my role? I was very fortunate on promotion to ASM, having joined the REME at a tender age of 17 from Shrewsbury, straight from school with GCSEs. And I've seen that whole career pathway, that whole career pipeline coming up to 22-year point, myself having served in the REME. And I've been very fortunate in the REME, not just as a serving soldier, but also as a tradesperson as well, as an electronics technician by trade myself. What's my main job? So Raja is just a little part of my job, really. So like with any company and organization out there, and Adam touched on it as well, advise, so offer advice and support to aid with retention, advise to retain. So our Colonel REME's main mission, main effort is retention, retaining that workforce, and just the amount of money spent on training, qualifications, CPD as well, as you transition through the ranks into different roles, going from working on the tools to middle management, then to senior management roles. It's vitally important to retain that personnel. So our core as a cap badge, yes, we're not literally pushing everybody out the door. We are trying to retain our personnel. However, we understand that we can't retain everybody. We can't retain all our soldiers. We can't retain all our officers. So that's where I switch from the retention piece to the transition piece by engaging with engineering specific companies, consultancies, recruitment agencies to explain what Raja is and what Raja is all about, and that's what we're going to touch on now. So what is Raja? So having taken on this role on promotion back in April 21, as you can see there, Raja was established by our Corps back in 1993. So REME Association Jobs Agency. And it was established by our Corps to provide engineering focused resettlement support and advice, advertising global engineering, so global. Currently we got REME personnel, so throughout the UK, yes, 50% of our Corps are based down in the south of the UK. However, in my previous role, I was up in Edinburgh with Free Rifles LAD as a workshop 2IC up there, and we got REME battalions up there. So when we're looking at our soldiers and officers transition out, and it's not just the REME, it'll be the Royal Navy as well, the RAF, the Royal Marines, guys and girls will be based in a work location, but their home location might be completely different. They may be working down here, down in Portsmouth. However, their home might be up in the north or up in Scotland. So the location is a massive driver with regards to roles and opportunities as the guys and girls transition out. And like Adam does, and like I do, so I building links between the REME, between our core, between the Raja and the civilian engineering sector, with support of the Raja piece. And you can see there, and I'll touch on it in a bit, how do we do that? So we've got closed group networks, because retention's key. So they're closed group. So we only engage with service leavers, REME service leavers currently in resettlement, reservists and veterans, because we want to retain our workforce as well. And how do we do that? So we've got our 2 closed networks, and we deliver engineering focused careers and employment support events as well, which you may be interested in. So the role of REME, it says all there really: soldier first, tradesperson always, and keeping a punch in the army's fist. Okay, and that's with regards to what's the REME, the Royal Electromechanical Engineers. What's our main role? So equipment support. We are basically the workshop to the British Army's fleet of equipment, platforms, vehicles, ancillaries, weapons, and that's what we do. We keep the equipment in the user's hands, whether that's a first line unit or another deploying team. And you could just see, I know Adam touched on it as well, so just the scope and breadth of REME responsibilities specifically there, focused in on engineering and workshop facilities, project management, contractor integration, health and safety as well. But it's not just the REME guys and girls focused on that. You've got all the different engineering sectors as well within the Royal Air Force, the Navy, and the Royal Marines as well. They've all got their engineering sectors as well, and skill sets which you'll most likely be interested in as well, and that'll be from sort of the through Adam or the CTP top level resettlement piece. Our trade groups, so we've got 8 trade groups in our core. I mentioned one of them, so I joined as an electronics technician. You can see there, land systems electronics technician, but we also have aircraft and avionics technicians, vehicle mechanics, so vehicle technicians, recovery mechanics. So that's why I'm just going to bring LEEA in on there. So LEEA, Ross will agree as well. So you've got ex-forces veterans working within LEEA. And there's ex-REME within LEEA as well, and specifically recovery mechanics. So recovery mechanics are like the AA, the RAC to the British Army's fleet of vehicles. However, sort of additional roles as well. They deal with all the lifting inspections of lifting tackle, lifting equipment from shackles all the way up to hoists and cranes and chains. And also our vehicle mechanics as well, touch on that as well. So that's where that link is straight away with our trade groups, our personnel and LEEA, and with predominantly most of your organisations as well. We also have metalsmiths, so fabrication, but they also specialise in shipwright skills as well, if they're based at 17 Port Maritime, armourers, so weapons, and technical support specialists as well. So workshop, stores, accounting, and working up into senior roles with regards to facilities management as well in that space. And I'll just touch on the service leaver journey, so that there's sort of 3/4 main trigger points of why personnel transition out. So end of contract, notice to terminate. So any serving soldier, it doesn't matter, not just REME, if they put their notice to terminate in, minimum they'll be given 12 months resettlement. So they'll still be conducting their role, but they'll go into a 12-month resettlement window, resettlement period headed up by CTP with support from CTP. And that's where they'll be able to engage with CTP to attend CTP events, networking events, courses. They'll be able to spend they'll have some funding to spend on courses, whether it's project management, whether it's degree, and if any courses that they want to complete, and they can complete these before they go into their resettlement period, to strengthen their CPD, their portfolio, to help them with that transition into that next role within the civilian sector. We also, unfortunately, we do have admin discharges and medical discharges as well, but I believe Adam does as well. But as Raj and myself, I'll literally go through that monthly data, and we'll engage with every single one of our service leavers from those sectors to make sure we are supporting them, as well as the specific CTP support, but also the unique Raja support that we provide as well. And you can see there, the guys and girls do get allowances, so funding for travel and additional leave as well, whilst they're going through that resettlement period. So barriers within the civilian sector. So yeah, both Ross and Adam touched on it as well. So it's as a company, as an organization, sort of looking inwards into the military, it's just understanding those skills transfer and in the industry matching. I bet Adam reads many a job specification or job advert where it's so specific, so finite, that those service leavers aren't going to have that specific experience or specific qualification. However, with everything else they bring to the party, and all the other, not just the values and standards, but their sort of specialist knowledge and their qualifications as well, that can map across quite nicely. Language and terminology, and also timing's key as well. So a 12-month window is quite a long period, and it's just, as an organisation, you want to be linking in with service leavers near enough straight away at that, as soon as they enter their resettlement period. So you can sort of you can support them through that transition, actually, engaging them early, and that's how you build with your Armed Forces Covenant piece, showing your support to the guys and girls transition out. And there is a touch on lack of industry-specific qualifications, which Adam touched on as well. However, most companies, organisations, they will take those service leavers on with everything else they bring to the party and provide that training in-house for them to pick up on the job or prior to starting. And good examples of good practice. So Armed Forces Covenant, as touched on, and you see LEEA currently holds silver status, which is great, pushing to gold. Engagement with the CTP early, and then specifically sort of the White Ensign and Raja and other charities agencies as well. Adam mentioned it, delivery of virtual face-to-face insight days, that they're key to entice those service leavers in to take a look. Talent banks as well, general service leaver job advert. I've seen that on companies' careers pages, portals. They'll just have a generic job description, job specification, reaching out to service leavers. If you want an informal chat or you want to investigate future opportunities within our company, within our organisation, they'll maybe push a generic service leaver job description out there, or job advert. Tailored induction training programs, have a look at a couple there, but there's quite a few. Jacobs Project Soft Landing, that's all about engage with service leaver early and helping them through that transition, sort of like I wouldn't say holding their hands, but supporting them throughout that transition piece. Siemens as well, and also Amazon, and also LEEA at the end of this, and then Raja specific. So understanding the KSC of our personnel, and I'm happy to chat to any companies, organisations post this to engage with the Raja going forward, and hopefully help support you with your opportunities that would map nicely to the skill sets of our REME personnel transition out, and engage early in the process at Raja Careers and Employment Support events. So we got our next Southern event taking place next Wednesday here in the REME Museum, and we've got 58 companies, organisations exhibiting specifically to REME service leavers, veterans and reservists in attendance. And that is Raja. And you can see there's my contact details there. Feel free to contact us via email to get in contact with myself and Kirsty. Thank you very much.
Excellent. Thank you both, Adam and Tom, and we'll come back with some questions at the end of the presentations. But Leah, do you want to take forward the presentation we've got from Dave?
Yep. Okay.
Perfect.
Good morning. My name's David Thomson. I'm the LEEA Training Manager. I'm going to give you a brief outline on the Lifting Equipment Engineers Association Military Transition Scheme. So, as I said before, my name's David Thomson. I'm the Training Manager. I spent 23 years in the military as a recovery mechanic in the Royal Electrical Mechanical Engineers. It just so happened on the time of my retirement that LEEA were looking for a trainer, preferably a senior NCO, and had been involved with lifting equipment. It just so happened that I was at the School of Electrical Mechanical Engineering training, so I already had the qualifications required to continue training. I'd been a recovery mechanic that involves winching, accessories and other items of lifting equipment that were beneficial. So I already had an in-depth knowledge of the equipment. On the end of my retirement, I received an interview with the LEEA, and part of that was explaining about the lifting equipment, and that was all part of my process. I left the military on Friday and I started with LEEA on the Monday, and that's been just over 10 years since I retired from the military. That's just a brief outline on myself. And how I come to be the training manager of LEEA. So the overview of LEEA. The Military Transition Scheme is designed to help support all service leavers transitioning from military to civilian life. And this with a view to embarking on a new career path within the lifting industry. Service leavers who join the scheme receive free access to LEEA Foundation Certificate e-learning courses and then an assessment. The foundation course is basically aimed at a beginner's level. It covers common types of lift equipment used across the industry and basic knowledge of key products or topics. This course is a prerequisite to then go on to the LEEA's Advanced Diploma courses, for which service leavers are eligible for course fee discounts. There we go. Eligibility for the training scheme. It's available within 6 months of leaving and for 2 years after the end of service. Okay. So to all regular service leavers worldwide, regardless of armed branch, trade, experience, or previous qualifications. It's designed to support transition into the civilian lifting equipment industry for service leavers, basically. We want to demonstrate to military veterans just how wide and rewarding a career in the lifting industry can be. And we've already been successful with several of our military transition scheme members, already have secured employment through the military transition scheme. So this benefits anyone thinking of leaving the armed forces and looking for a different career path once they become a civilian. So the training benefits for the serving members or service leavers. All military transition scheme members receive free access to LEEA's foundation certificate training. And this is via e-learning. And at the end, there will be an assessment on LEEA's Academy 2 online learner management system. This app is available on all major devices, from laptops to mobiles, and allows you to learn at your own pace and anywhere you require to do it, even the comfort of your own home. Our global foundation course and assessments, they're available in several languages. So you've got English, Arabic, Bahasa, Brazilian, Portuguese, and simplified Chinese. Okay. Also available is Foundation Australia, which covers all the same topics as the global course with regional variation. So the course is beneficial worldwide. The assessment, everyone wants to know, it is multi-choice. Okay, and as previously mentioned, it's done in lots and lots of different languages to cover our main members and database. So, what will you learn while you're on this foundation course? Now, very important in the lifting equipment industry, we need to know about local legislation, regulation, standards, but we need to know about best practice relating to lifting equipment. Definitions. So definitions, terminology, what do things mean, and so on and so forth. Looking at controlling risks, some form of material science, so how are things made? Units of measure, basic machines, manufacturer's verification, rating. How do we put a safe working load or a working load limit on a piece of equipment? And then part of the course obviously would be types of lifting equipment, ranging from the smallest die bolt introduction up to the largest machine in the lifting industry. Once you have completed the course, if you then sit the assessment and then are successful, this will gain you a worldwide recognised qualification, and the foundation course is for life. You do not have to come back and do the course again. You do not have to do any type of refresher. Once you've completed this foundation course, the foundation course is the basis, it's the building blocks to then go on to the LEEA's advanced diploma training courses. So, by joining LEEA's military transition scheme, along with training benefits, you'll be given the opportunity to connect with LEEA members. As we've already, or as you can see there, we are a worldwide association. Once approved, your details will be added to a searchable database within the members area of the LEEA website. This will allow LEEA members to view your details and advertise you as a potential recruit. Your details will not be made public available. Only LEEA staff and members will be able to access details. There we go. So what are the benefits of hiring service leavers through the military training scheme? The scheme also aims to be a potential benefit for our valued members. We want to extend to you all the opportunity to enhance and develop your recruitment strategy, offering up the potential to recruit service leavers who may already hold a LEEA qualification and may already have an extensive engineering background. As previously mentioned, we're looking to improve our military transition scheme by allowing LEEA members to advertise their vacancies to military transition scheme military leavers for free on the LEEA website. Once it's available, you'll be able to submit your organisation's job vacancy and contact details to be shown on the online searchable database for free for all military transition scheme members to view. What are the benefits? Why are military leavers could be the perfect fit for your business? Well, veterans could be a perfect fit for your business if you're looking for highly professional, self-motivated individuals who can use their initiative and possess a wide range of transferable skills, and in areas such as engineering, and this includes marine engineering, leadership and management skills, communication, organisational skills, problem solving, teamwork, and a degree of health and safety. All of these that can benefit our members by employing ex-military. Are you interested? For any eligible military leavers who are listening to this webinar, please do feel free to get in touch after the webinar. If you'd like more information, use the email address on screen or complete the online application form, and LEEA staff members will be in contact with you. We're reaching out to our members and industry partners to find companies who will be able to offer employment to veterans and reservists. If you're interested in advertising your vacancies to military leavers, please send us an email to the address on screen to be added to our mailing list, so you can be notified when our online vacancy database is ready. This slide deck will be available on the LEEA website after this webinar ends, so there's no worry if you haven't had time to make note of the links and email address. Lastly, on behalf of me, David Thomson, Training Manager, ex-military, I thank you for your time for listening to our webinar.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm noting the time, and I'm absolutely committed to finishing by 11 o'clock. So I've got a couple of questions to ask. Adam, your hand is raised.
Can I just make a couple of quick points, Ross, that are actually useful for, I think, all employers? Is firstly, if you employ a veteran at the moment, there is a national insurance holiday on veterans that are taken on straight from service. What that means is, for the first year, although you pay the national insurance holiday, you then claim all of the national insurance employers' contribution payments for an individual back after that first year. So that, I think that's financially, that's quite a nice incentive. And the second one is that there is training money available for all service leavers under the Enhanced Learning Credits scheme. So complementary to and supporting the fabulous LEEA military training scheme courses, there are diplomas, there is money available to you for further training after that. And that's quite good for employers to know as well. If they sometimes it takes a bit of digging, a bit of work, but there is money out there to continue training. That's it for me. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. I just wanted to just make the point that I'm aware we have significant numbers of members of LEEA who are not in the UK. And whilst today we've heard about solutions that exist within the UK, similar solutions will likely exist wherever you are in the world. And so I would encourage you to reach out to whoever your partners are, and certainly within LEEA, we will do our best to come up with a glossary of who those organisations might be. But just to reiterate that our commitment as an association is geography blind. So the free foundation training that we're offering to military veterans within 6 months and 2 years of that checkered flag is irrespective of which military service you have served in, and irrespective of the nation state who you have represented. This is a worldwide commitment that we are offering, for all the reasons that we've spoken about previously, because there is a benefit to our employers, but also because it's just the right thing to be doing. And so I'm extremely grateful to the LEEA board for being so straightforward in the direction that it's offered to me. I say offered the direction that it has given to me, and instructed me to deliver on that. So if I just sort of round up but ask one question. So there's been a few questions come in, some of them are quite specific, so we'll follow up with those online directly. But Adam and Tom, my employers are looking for the best solution. So what would your advice be to them if they're looking for one way in which they can get their company and their vacancy in front of this talented pool of potential job seekers? What's the best way that they can get themselves in front of your guys?
Tom, do you want to take this one, or shall I do it?
You start, Adam. You start. Go for it. I reckon I've got the same in my head what you're thinking as well, but go for it.
Well, I mean, you can come to the White Ensign Association and to the Raja and advertise opportunities through us to reach an audience, and the CTP. Unfortunately, there is no single point of best effect. Really, it has to be a multi-channel effort to get opportunities out to the service leavers. If you want to engage with Tom and or I and say, this is the role I've got, this is the role I'm specifically looking to fulfill, we can certainly give you a personal service, which is not something you will get with a career transition partnership. And I think that's a significant difference between mine and Tom's organisations and the CTP. You will get a very, very specific and personal service with us.
Perfect. Thank you, Tom. Would you add anything to that?
No, I'd agree with Adam. So literally, yes, the CTP, contractually, MOD-wise, tri-service resettlement organisation company, they're there providing that resettlement umbrella. However, it is generalised resettlement. It's literally covering all three tri-services, the Royal Marines as well. Uniquely, really specifically, I say the White Ensign and the Raja REME engineering focused. So I think our and Adam, we linked him as well with engineers leaving the Navy as well. So I think that's where the perfect link lies between LEEA, our organisations, and also you've got the CTP, but we've got specific sort of Raja events, Raja careers events. We've got our 2 closed group networks on Facebook and LinkedIn. We are having our Raja job site being created as well, Ross. So it's literally all engineering focused that way.
Perfect, thank you. And that feeds into where we think as LEEA we fit in this pathway, right? So we're not positioning ourselves as a recruitment agency, but we are positioning ourselves as the trade association that can help overcome a lack of recognition of skills and turn those skills into qualifications that are recognised by a civilian workforce. Let me finish by a personal recommendation, a personal testimony. As an employer of military veterans, I would thoroughly recommend engaging with this talented pool of people. So to employers that we have on this call, please reflect on this and think about the value that is there for you. We are lucky and blessed within the association to have extremely talented and extremely dedicated former servicemen working for us. And it's certainly something that I'd be willing to put my name to as a solution that we should all be looking at for the next generation of the workforce. So on that note, a particular thank you to our presenters. We really appreciate you being here today, but also the broader work that you do on a daily basis. It's a really valuable and important thing that you do. So thank you. And thank you to you, our members who joined with us. It's important that this wasn't just an hour of your time. It's important that there's a next step. We'll follow up with this. There'll be some more coverage in the lifting engineer and the LEEA bulletin. We will signpost what the next step could be and how it can be achieved. But we really hope there's been something of value here today, and we hope that it has an impact on your businesses and supports you as you look to develop and grow. So thank you all. Thank you, LEEA, for your help organising, and we hope to see you all very soon.